So very welcome to the circuit, the 24 Quatre du Mans. Look, we're here at Le Mans for this tonight's BMW M4 and M8 competition, courtesy of Irish Digital Motorsport Championship. It's an exciting new competition, a bit of a national championship here, and I'm extremely proud to be commentating on it. Sam, look, great to have you with me. Sam Fitzpatrick in the booth with myself. We have 9 rounds in total. Spread across 6 different circuits. We're starting in Le Mans tonight with a 45-minute endurance race, courtesy of our partners at Mondello Park. And remember, of course, there is an amazing competition for you at the moment for people who are who are Irish and are interested in getting a piece of action themselves. If you see the M4 and the M8 in action on iRacing and you think to yourself, I fancy a bit of go of that, and you want to get yourself down to County Kildare, well, there's a competition at the moment running on the Digital Motorsports website for a chance to win one of 2 fantastic Mondello Park driving experiences. There's vouchers to be given away, and both of the draws for those will be given at the end of the 9th round on November 29th at the North Cypher. So get yourself on there. I've gone on there already and gotten in for it. But Sam, thanks a million for joining me. Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, and that prize looks so good. I'm not familiar with Mondello Park, to be honest. It looks awesome, and I've seen some clips of drivers actually go around on the driving experiences. It looks like a ton of fun. I mean, I'm from Norfolk, and anyone who knows Norfolk, there's no hills. Mondello Park has got more elevation than the entirety of Norfolk, and that's not a small count. So it looks like a lot of fun. Certainly do recommend going to Digital Motorsports and getting yourself signed up for that. But of course, yeah, starts off the new season. Covered a couple of seasons of this, of course, on Apex Racing 2. I think this will be our 4th season actually on Apex Racing TV covering this championship, and we've done so many different cars. And for the first time, we're going to go for a multi-class feel. The 2 BMWs available, the GTs and the GT4s, and it should be a real difference for these drivers. They had a little bit of controversy, of course, in the single seaters last season, but I think they will really be at home in these GT cars.
Yeah, in fairness to the lads, they can't exactly be on at each other for too long, considering how small the community here is. It's an amazing sort of championship that there's so many guys who are racing against each other, know each other so well, are meeting up for drinks and seeing each other even pre all of this, and hopefully, I suppose, some of those relationships carrying through as well. But, you know, as we were saying just about that experience at Mondello, like I actually gave it a present to a good friend of mine to go down and do it once at Mondello, and I have to say we were taken care of brilliantly down there. So yeah, it's just really exciting to have ourselves back at the Circuit de la Sarthe in France. Weather in Ireland wasn't great today, but a little bit better in the north of France this evening. And I suppose, look, a circuit that's on everybody's lips after last weekend. A huge congratulations to Charlie Eastwood for winning the GT class with Aston Martin. Look, what an amazing achievement, 10 years on from the last Northern Irishman to do it. And look, just a fantastic achievement for Charlie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the biggest event in really all of motorsport, and so really impressed they managed to get over the line. Yeah, something that I'm sure he'll be extremely proud of. And of course, looking forward to the World Endurance Championship as well, coming up next year. Of course, we're going to have a little bit of a break, unfortunately, I believe, in the World Endurance Championship until we get back going for next season. But fantastic to get under our belts. It would have been 2020, wouldn't have been a year without getting 24 hours under our belt. But of course, yeah, these BMWs were prominent there just last week, at least the GTE models were. And they're already putting in their times in qualifying, 10-minute qualifying session, 3 laps that the drivers can set. We've already got into the 3:45 so far. The first few GT4s will soon be crossing the line as well.
Yeah, no surprise to see that name at the top of the list, of course. Jordan Kelly, fastest in practice on Monday with a 3:45.2, I think, and potentially a challenger for Keith Dempsey's crown, Sam, because Keith Dempsey's been kind of, look, he's the man to beat often. Obviously represented Ireland at that international event in Germany not so long ago, but Jordan Kelly, just the young 20-year-old, potentially a pretender to his crown.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Kelly's been around in the championship a little while as well, got some good results in recent seasons, and yeah, he could be one of the challenges. I mean, Keith has driven so well in this championship. Consistent results is what he's been able to do, particularly in the TC championship they won. And of course, we had Oscar Mangan, who really ran away with the GT4 championship, and then last season it was really anyone's in the feature races and the race twos at least. We had, I think, about 5 different winners in the first 5 meters of the season. I think we had about 8 different winners over the course of the championship. And it was so tricky to see what was going to happen. A lot of collisions between championship rivals, and Keith Dempsey ended up coming out on top, although he was pushed right to the final round of the championship for that crown. But yeah, he's certainly going to be the favourite, one would imagine, for this season. Michael McGuinness currently out on circuit. He's currently top of the GT4 drivers. Just for reference, the top of the GTEs are in the 345s. Top of the GT4s are 419s, apologies. So about 35 seconds difference. When these GT4s appeared on iRacing, I thought, oh, they'll just be a little bit slower than GT3s. Anything but. They're quite a bit slower than the GT3s, and so there's going to be quite a gulf in range. There'll be something to look out for later on in the season, but around this place, because such a huge circuit, shouldn't be so much of an issue.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I was just going to say, you know, of all the places that were racing over the course of this championship, you know, you'd imagine the difference between our GTEs and our GT4s would be considerably tighter when we get to the Nordschleife come round 9. But around this place, it's all about top line speed and getting to there as quickly as possible. It just goes to show you the difference. But it should be really, really competitive racing right down the order. Obviously, I suppose the one good thing, or maybe bad thing if you like, the thrills and spills, but for the drivers, they'll be happy at least that Le Mans is such a big track. That it gives the chance for the classes to have their own separate races. There's a bit of a gap between the two, and traffic doesn't come into it until maybe about the 15-20 minute mark, whereas on other circuits you'd be battling through traffic almost from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a good pick for the organisers to come to this circuit. It's a good circuit, and I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. It's a great race for round 1 of the championship. I think we might be going to a little sponsor video right now, just about Mondello Park, who are of course helping out the championship through their fantastic support. And this little video will take you through kind of what Mondello Park is all about and what you can win with the driving experience.
Yeah, what a fantastic facility Mondello is. Ireland's real, you know, shining beacon in terms of, you know, an international racetrack. A fantastic documentary as well. Those Irish who are watching might remember that was hosted by John Kenny not so long ago about the facility. And such, you know, for a country like Ireland to be able to attract some of the names and some of the caliber of classic car that it has been over the years has been a fantastic achievement. Look, if you're into your rallycross, if you're into your drifting, if you're into your single seater, if you're into your GT driving, if you're into your whatever, basically Mondello has it for you. And like I say, I visited there a few I'd say about a year ago. The weather was absolutely stunning. It was like what we're seeing at Le Mans today, and just a fantastic experience. Really top class facilities there, and if you know, even recently with what Digital-Motorsports have done in terms of that has just been absolutely fantastic as we finish up qualifying.
Yeah, but iRacing, if you're listening, get Mondello Park on iRacing, you know? Please, not kill, And Mondello Park, come on, have some representation of the areas around England, because it's very England focused. But no, some fantastic circuits and in Wales and Scotland and the island of Ireland. So yeah, it would be fantastic to see that one. The drivers are just gridding up actually. So the starting order for this first race of the season is going to be Jordan Kelly on pole position, Josh Malin alongside him. There's Oisin Walsh, Keith Dempsey, Robert Moore, Nicky Meredith, Arias Yamantis, Arturus Kundalis, Adrian Campfield. Great to see him in the championship. We're seeing him about plenty of others. So to James Holman, who rounds out the top 10 there. It's Peter McCann, Brian McManus, Jason Cooper, David Yamamoto, Rory O'Shea, Thomas Sibus, Noel Murray, Thomas Sirius, Sergey Graben, Robert Barable, Wayne Douglas, Ronan Hedeman, Tony Stack, Richard Faulkner, and Tom Ingram. Watch out for Ingram. He is good at overtaking, from what we're seeing. Always very fair drive as well. Also, Evan Walsh, Ian Malone, Michael Devney, Patrick McKenna, David Collier, and Ewan Murray all didn't set proper lap times during that session. And then in the GT4 class, we've got Michael McGuinness at the front of that one in the AAA. Kevin Shine in second place. Jean Montero in third. That's Rob O'Neill, Alex Denning, Harry McGovern, Shane Connolly, Mark Birney, Lawrence de Soswa, Evan Griffin, Michael Cullen, Nathan Healy, Johnny McMullen, David McGuire, and then Christopher McCann, Damien McMullen, Brendan Stone, Albert Reed, Max Hart, and David Freeman. Lots of those drivers, kind of interestingly, but not totally surprisingly, Kevin, really struggled to get a lap time in. When you have Le Mans around here, it's so easy to pick up a 1x, so easy to pick up a slowdown. It seems like that's what a lot of these drivers have done, and it's put a lot of drivers in the back of each class well out of position.
Absolutely, and it just goes to show you, even despite the fact that iRacing obviously gives you that sort of exit onto the Porsche curves to kind of cut a bit of that lap time out. Le Mans is such a long lap, especially in the M4. So for a lot of those pro-am guys, it'll be very interesting to see where the overtaking is done early doors. I was also, I think I saw David Maguire's name down there in amongst all those GT4s as well. So it should be interesting to see how he's going to make his way back through the pack. I'm surprised to see Tom Ingram so far down as well. You know, such an experienced competitor in the BTCC. But it just goes to show you what the level of competition is here, with so many distinguished pro drivers among the ranks here in the pro race.
Yeah, it's an exceptional field. The series continues to grow. Big shouts out to all the Digital Motorsports organisers, because they've just managed to make this series even more competitive and even more professional than it was before. And this season is surely going to be the best yet. Of course, every other week we are going to be visiting this series. Just the one race tonight. Usually it will be the two races, but 45-minute endurance events. And we've got a couple of the VRA drivers just at the front of the order. Josh Malin, is he going to be able to maintain that lead over in these opening stages of the car? Number 20. This can be a very tricky start here at Le Mans through the opening couple of chicanes. Pace car also comes in very late, so really Maynard's got to leave it for a while before he decides to launch. And his teammates, Jordan Kelly, will be going right with it. Here we go, Kelly from the pole. And we are away racing for 45 minutes in the Digital Motorsports Championship. And it is relatively similar for the front guys. Fantastic job for the top two. Oisin Walsh maintaining in third place. In fact, Keith Dempsey just being able to promote himself up a position. So he managed to get the launch through the first couple of chicanes. And just in the background, Oisin Walsh managing to defend Robert Moore. That's for fourth position.
Yeah, really clean start there, which is always what we say what you want to see. I know we want to see the thrills and spills as well, but we really want to see these guys battling each other down into those kind of Mulsanne corners and on the straights. A good clean start, great again for Jordan Kelly, straight out the gap, no messing about, as we see the GT4 cars now coming down through the S's. and towards Tete Rouge. But it's just a fantastic start there for Kelly, followed closely by Josh Main, and Keith Dempsey's already made up a place into third place there already, not hanging about at all. So great start for some of those guys. And look, 45 minutes to go. It's a long way to go, but some fantastic racing is set to be ahead of us here at the circuit this afternoon.
Yeah, Harry McGovern trying to gain a position right now. See if he can make this position up down the first of these Mulsanne straights. Of course, the toe effect going to be so important. Not massively effective in the GT4 cars, but almost a couple of kilometers of straight line racing. As we also watch Oisin Walsh currently going at battle.
Oisin Walsh flying on here. We're back on board with Jordan Kelly, of course, here going through the second chicane here, it looks like. And look, it's as we say, he was so quick on Monday, posting that 3:45, backed it up again in qualifying. So for him, it's just a case of staying clean. He knows he's faster than a lot of the guys behind him for sheer pace once that toe doesn't come into effect. So if he get a little bit later on the brakes, a little bit earlier through the corners, he can start establishing a lead there ahead of Josh Malin. But that's easier said than done, given Malin's pedigree, finishing third behind Alex Albon in the F3 NHS charity race. Qualifying in the top split 600 entrants in the racing league, driving the TCR car. So he's only 20 years old, is Josh Malin, so a massive future ahead of him. Good to see these young guys leading some of the old fogies around Le Mans this evening.
Yeah, it's one of the best things we saw in the in a couple of days over lockdown when we had the real life drivers go up against one another, and we often saw like the karting drivers take on some very established GT drivers. And if you got the talent, you kind of be quick on sim racing. That is certainly what they showed over that time, and we're also seeing it right here as well. Malin, almost you feel with the possibility of overtaking, but quite happy to stay behind as we've got a big wreck down at Indianapolis involving a couple of, or at least two of the turn 3 drivers, and now trying to rejoin back on circuit. That is an absolute mess after a really clean first few corners. Indianapolis is where it's all come to a crunch.
Yeah, we're seeing there the incidents between cars 45 and 47 being investigated. That's between Thomas Sayers and Rory O'Shea. Be interested to see what happens there. But yeah, Indianapolis is one of those corners, you're flinging it in at the right hand, you're piling on the brakes as you're going down into the second part of the corner. It's so easy if there's cars side by side. We see more go off there now. That's Douglas going off at the Porsche curves, and it's just getting a little bit interesting between those. There's the packs are starting to form, and it's interesting to see how we're getting on here.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit messy out there at the moment, with a few mistakes, also a few slowdowns being served by drivers, but these courses are so wide, and you see the absolute chaos that it's causing at the moment, with drivers slowing down, getting bunched up. And I think definitely may have lost a position, or that side by side into the second forward chicane and round. And big contact as well with Debney taking evasive action, or trying to take evasive action. And the turn 3 car having an absolute mare of a first lap, but should be added as well. Plenty of other drivers from other teams as well. And you can see how many guys have had to come into the pit straight away. They do get a faster pair, but that is really not the start that they would have wanted.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter what level you are, Sam. Anytime you go into an iRacing race, it's so much more difficult. Even those guys that are running triple screens, it's so much more difficult with that depth perception and that kind of trying to make sure that you're, racing side by side. I think in iRacing is so much more difficult because you don't have that same depth perception as you would in a car normally. So it's all about getting through those first couple of laps. If you can get through a few of those clean, you're almost guaranteed to make up places. And look, at racecraft comes into it. You'd expect among the pro guys, there's so many experienced heads there that perhaps some of those could have been avoided. Looking at one of those going to the Porsche curves, I saw a tip and somebody reversing out of Indianapolis as well. But look, the GT4 guys are ironically, the Pro-Am guys are ironically keeping it relatively clean, with Alex Denning in 27 for following at the moment, Harry McGovern coming up behind him. But yeah, it's just, there's always those periods in the race, especially through the Porsche curves, that they're just a breeding ground for accidents in the way the cars are throwing themselves right and left with the G-forces that are involved. And it's so difficult to keep yourself out of trouble, especially when you're arriving on the scene of an accident.
Yeah, and Denning actually just taking the lead of the GT4 class, I believe, earlier on in the lap, so getting past McGuinness. Don't believe he cut the draft, but they were ever so close across the start-finish line. So that move being made, Denning, despite qualifying pretty low down, actually, did Denning. I think he qualified in 5th place out of the GT4 drivers. Awesome pace now in the race, and he's storming up the order at the moment. Meanwhile, the rest of the GT4s just have not separated whatsoever. This one's just Soswa and Griffin, Montero, Birney, Healy, and McCann as well, just at the rear of all of this. Whilst the GTEs may be a little bit faster this season, the GT4s is potentially where the action is going to be on the most part, and certainly looks very competitive at the moment for these drivers. Plenty of kind of options you can make with the GT4s. I was about to say maybe they'll be easier to set up, but I think as anyone on iRacing has seen, you still need to really fine-tune these machines in order to get to the top. Unfortunately, because the big setup in the series does help them out quite a bit. That means that everyone can get onto a similar playing field. The circuit may not fit everyone. Thomas Stack just having a little bit of an issue further down, and so Robert Moore having to defend that 6th place, also just moving up into 5th place past Arturas Cordelis at the moment. And these lot have kind of lost touch with the top few drivers, but having good battle by themselves.
Yeah, that's the thing, I suppose. Once you get sucked into that battle, it's so difficult to try and keep up with what's ahead of you, especially you know, if you're leading that, if you're in Moore's position, you know, you're saying even if he keeps that lead, he's going now through the Fort Chicane. If you do keep that lead going through Tete Rouge, then you're just, that toe has such a big effect on those GTE cars. But it is, I don't think I'll ever get sick, virtual or real life, watching those M8s barrel their way through that Michelin corner. It's just such a nice sight as they come down now into the Dunlop chicane. But look, it's a really good battle there developing between these guys. And you know, Sam, it's obviously it's a long championship, so you might be off the pace, or you might be a few seconds off the top four at the moment. But that 5th it could be so valuable. You got to take as many points as you can, and consistency is really key to pick up as many points as you can in this situation.
Yeah, and we've seen that in previous Digital Motorsports championships. You know, if you can have a bad day and still pick up a top 10 result, that is certainly going to help you out later on. That was very wide for Yamamoto. I wonder if that's going to be a slowdown for him. James Holman will move past. Don't think Yamamoto's going to have to serve slowdown. The slowdowns, what's been common around this circuit, are relatively fair on the most part. They don't penalise you a whole lot. Certainly it costs you more at some places than others. That's the Molstein corner. If you cut that, where you go through the invisible or the bollards, which the phantom bollards, probably the best way of it. If you go through them, then that's a huge slowdown. But actually, on Tete Rouge and also cutting the Molstein chicanes, that bad for these drivers. So if you do see a driver just slowing down on the side of the circuit, that's probably why they have picked up a slowdown. Yamamoto then coming back strong against Holman. Has to go the long way round the outside. He'll have his nose ahead by the time they get onto the bricks into the 2nd Mulsanne chicane. Can he make it? Not at the moment. Also gets a little bit of opposite lock as well. I'll have to wait until Molstein corner in order to go for a move. It's so tricky in this situation. Do you go for the move and potentially lose each other a load of time? Do you go for it in the attempt of an overtake?
Yeah, look, I suppose, look, any, and all these pros will tell you, if you can get it done going down the straight, if you can line a guy up and get it done in those straight bits, then you're doing a lot better than trying to get him into a corner. I mean, up to 85% of the lap around here at the circuit that I start is on the straight. So if you can get that, if you can get the right exit out of the corner and catch a guy, use that little bit of a toe, that's a lot safer for everybody really involved. So I suppose, look, with the long straights we have here, it does present those opportunities. But it is interesting to see there's not a huge, Dave Yamamoto not getting a huge amount of a toe from Holman in front of him. So I think maybe the toe effect isn't as much as I was expecting in today's race.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of that. I mean, I think I've seen, you know, Le Mans races in the past where, what was it? I can't remember if it was a certain circumstance, but the toe on simulators tends to be a little bit more than what it is in real life, and it's like a little bit unrealistic sometimes. I think iRacing really got that down to a T though in the last few years. I recall when the GT3s had a little bit of a buff with the draft about 3 years ago, and it really did improve the racing car. It means that an overtake is that much more tricky around stuff like this, when you've got a massive toe effect. It can be a lot of fun on the last lap, but the move just doesn't feel quite as worthwhile as right now for Jan Motor. And if he's going to get past Holman, he's going to have to work for it this part of the circuit, because you're going to get into the turbulent air. You just wash out the front slightly.
Yeah,
let's just say that would be the order that they've crossed the line on this time round.
The flying postman, they call him. I suppose we're all waiting to see when he's going to lick the stand suspended, isn't it? Because as we see Rob Moore moving in, there's this car off wide there. That's one of the GT4 cars, yeah, just getting caught in the crossfire there. It's interesting to see how they're already being lapped. Cars 44, 15, 5, and 34 are being investigated. Just have a look to see. 15 is Brian McManus, who is currently 8th. So that would be interesting to see if he's being caught up in that 34, as well as Robert Barrable, who's made a rake of places since he started out. So yeah, a few of the top guys getting involved in something there, coming out of the four chicanes onto the main straight. Just a nice couple of battles. Oh, that's Campfield gone wide there into the barrier, and following him was Kundelis behind him. So easy to do when you're going around a circuit like this, especially when you're doing the 24 hours and you're just almost leaving the guy in front of you do the driving. He goes wide, and by the time you've realized it, you're into the barrier himself. Be interested to see if there is any aero damage on those. We've seen that happen in last weekend as well. That if you hit that bump at the wrong side there, going through the bottom of the S's, and you just get spat out into the side of the barrier, and there's such a small distance there that once you start drifting, it's impossible to try and bring your car back wide. Jason Cooper now putting pressure on Kundelis. Cooper was one of the guys who was pretty quick in practice, 3:45.7 on Monday, P3 in practice, finds himself in 9th place at the moment. He'll be hoping to make up a few positions.
Yeah, Jason Cooper, a driver who's raced a lot in the BSR MX5 series and also the ARLTC Championship as well. So really good in race cars is Jason, and has plenty of experience on it over the years. And so racing wheel to wheel should be no problem for him whatsoever. But yeah, does want to make up some places soon. He is already up 5 places from his start. By the way, I'm just looking at the lap times for the drivers out there. The GTEs, at least, we've got Kelly and Malin in the 45s, mid 45s. Everyone else is in the 47s, and then you quickly go down to the 48s. So the pace of the top two is exceptional at the moment from the number 20 and the number 90 from those guys. So they are really the class of the field at the moment. It's going to be tricky to knock them off their perch. Here comes Meredith, though. This is for P3 at the moment on Keith Dempsey, who is just being left in the dust, which is so rare to see for Keith, but maybe a little bit less experience in the GTE cars, and he's just trying to keep a place on the roster.
Yeah, that's probably it. It's just like it's all adapting, isn't it? And I suppose these guys they're all brilliant at adapting to different cars, but Keith himself has a long history of racing in the Formula Ford and Formula Renaults, a long time sim racer as well. But yeah, maybe as you say, I think the M8s are a bit of a unique beast. I love BMWs personally, but you know that you have to be really sure on the brakes. You know, it's very they lock up so easily, and there's a touch between two cars. Cyrus involved in that. He's coming back across the track. That's in a battle with number 31. That is, we're on my timing sheets here now. I'm trying to see if 31 is. There seems to be a big battle there going on through Indianapolis and through Arnage. Very interesting to see. There's just so many little packs all through the circuit. It's going to make for a really exciting last 25 minutes.
Yeah, that was just Faulkner being able to get past Cyrus, who I was adamant was going to be wiping out those couple of drivers. I think there may have been a spin just ahead of them as well. I swear I heard some tyres screeching. Ooh, Faulkner off the road by himself. Is he going to hit the wall? No, but is he going to hit another car? Not quite. Wow.
So unfortunate for Richard Faulkner, because he managed to keep it reasonably straight as he now has the pack behind him, and he just hopefully does a safe re-entry. But it's just that he clipped the inside curb there going through Michelin Corner, actually sent him spinning. Otherwise, he probably would have gotten away with it and been able to get back in amongst that pack. Now finds himself a long way back. That's an unusual mistake for Richard, and he'll be kicking himself now after that one.
Yes, one of those mistakes which, yeah, he will just put down to maybe a lack of concentration, or I know, I imagine he was concentrating when he was battling right there, as we have Haydeman currently battling out there with Cybus just ahead of him, 13th and 14th. Hedeman up 8 places. Evan Walsh as well, he was well out of position in qualifying due to him not setting a qualifying time, I believe, or certainly not a very quick one at that. With the 10-minute session that we have up into 15th, he's up 11 places. His pace, Evan Walsh, is a little bit slower than I thought. He's 52 on that last lap, maybe having to pass some traffic. In the GT4 standings, by the way, we've still got Denning leading the way, but McGuinness is really close behind him. This is the top 2 in the GT4 class. And after seeming like he had the better pace in the early stages, Denning, McGuinness has been able to respond and actually closed in on this lap. The gap is down to 6/10 of a second. You can see it for it yourself right there. And then they've got another 6-second gap back to Kevin Shine, who's very much by himself, actually quite spread out now in the GT4 class. It's also got Healy and McCann, who are battling a little bit, and Reed and Burney as well in 37th and 38th overall. Yeah, that GT4 class mainly separated, but for the race win, it is anyone's game right now between these two.
Yeah, Denning's flying confidence as well. The 21-year-old who's currently racing in the Fiesta ST Championship for Murray Motorsport, and took a double on the opening round 2 months ago in Mondello. So seems to be showing just as much pace around Le Mans as he does around Mondello. But look, we pushed all the way by Michael McGuinness. Such a superb competitor, McGuinness. He was fastest of the GT4s on Monday, the Leitrim native. So nice little Leitrim Dublin battle going on here. Not often you get to see those two counties duke it out at the top. There's a drive-through penalty there for car number 34. That is Robert Barrable. He's currently in 22nd place and missing most of his front of the car. Not as aesthetic, and will lose definitely top line speed. That's not great for Rob, and now has a drive-through penalty, which of all the tracks, I suppose Le Mans isn't the worst. It's certainly not as bad as getting a drive-through at Spa, but still it's a difficult one nonetheless.
Yeah, be glad that it's not going to be nights later on, otherwise he'd have no headlights later on in the race. I'm not actually 100% sure on this one, Kevin, but are we expecting the drivers to have to make a mandatory pit stop? But certainly on fuel, they'll be fine to get to the end.
Well, you know, if we were talking about lap times, if the likes of Kelly and Malin are doing 3:45s, then, you know, which is the times that they were doing in practice and qualifying, then I struggle to see where the fuel saving is happening. Maybe it'll be happening over the course of the race. Now, you can make 45 minutes reasonably comfortably if you're driving reasonably conservatively. But look, when you're in those battles, that all goes out the window. So I think those guys should probably be able to make the distance, but it may require a bit more thought into their fuel strategy as we go through the race.
Currently the top of the drivers who have pitted, Brian McManus, but that was for damage repairs after the first lap of the race, and that's going to be Murray in for repairs as well. Oh, and into the back of him as well was Series, who just did not really respect the slowness of the car ahead, and it was quite inevitable that the driver ahead was going to be slowing up with the damage, and it's Series who's going to lose out more. I assume he's going to have to come into the pits, although visually, to me at least, that car doesn't look too bad. It's a shame for Thomas, who being able to get through much of the mess in the early stages was a beneficiary of it. But now he slips back down, and Richard Faulkner, who also had an issue at the Porsche curves earlier on, comes to join him.
Yeah, Richard knows full well what Cyrus is going through. Just a little bit. Look, I mean, I would love to have the pace of these guys. I'm in absolutely no position to comment, but given it's my job, I'm going to. So I just think that he just, you know, when you saw the other guy going into the barrier, and I'm not forgetting now, it was an Owen Murray, I think, went into the barrier. You just think you have to lay off the brake, you know, even a little bit of trail braking just to get on the inside of the corner. In fairness, Owen Murray has been racing a long time, and a really interesting battle here for the GT4s, but you just feel just a little bit, as you say, a little bit more patience. You could almost see it happening before it happened, and then Richard Faulkner having to pile on the brakes to avoid to avoid an accident. For series, it's just for Thomas Series, you know, it's such a difficult position as well. You're turned around backwards. It's a blind corner. It's such a horrible place to find yourself marooned. Did a pretty good job of rejoining safely, but he really shouldn't have let himself get in that position in the first place. There's a move now going on the right hand side of Rob O'Neill. That is a beautiful car Rob O'Neill is driving this evening.
Yeah, some superb liveries as always, but yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Unfortunately, I'm running this on a laptop. I mean, I'm having to run this on the lowest graphics settings possible, so I can't really appreciate it. But if it looks to the viewers as it ought to look to me, no, that looks good. Yep, fleet ID on the side of that one. No, that is a nice design. I have no idea how all these painters managed to come up with these designs to such a high quality and also keep them original as well. He needs it to get him a couple extra brake horsepower though at the moment because he's up behind the Porsche, apologies, the BMW GT4 just in front of him.
Yeah,
And
Rob,
we'll try to make that move soon.
Rob is a big into IAT himself. I was telling you, Sam, before the race. I know we should really be impartial here as commentators, but Rob and myself actually have a bit of a history going back. We used to play in the same football team about 10 years ago, so we're both in the same part of Cork. And Rob's a good friend of mine going back a number of years, so it's a real privilege to commentate on him. He was the man who kind of first got me interested in iRacing, so there you go. It's funny how life can come around with you.
Yeah, absolutely. A good decision was that one.
An expensive decision, I think.
Yes.
Not regretted, definitely. It's a good battle there between the GT4s, and I quite like this format that we have for this championship. That we have the Pro-Am guys in the GT4s, and then we have the pro guys in the in the M4s and the pro guys in the M8s, the M8 GTEs, because you really do get to see. It's not a case of it's nice to see kind of the lower class guys in the lower powered machines and toning their racecraft, and then seeing the pro guys really showing us what M8s can do, as opposed to kind of stuffing everybody into the one classic car. And as we say that, those experiences, as we were saying, if you're looking at those cars and you're thinking to yourself, I'd love to have a bash off that looks good. We can't take it to Le Mans, but we'll take it to the next best thing, which is Mondello in County Kildare. And you'd go to the Digital-Motorsports website and log in there and complete that survey, and you'll get entered into a competition for the chance to drive one of these beasts around Mondello Park. As Sam was saying, fantastic circuit, full of elevation, and a really good facility, and a great place to go if you're if you want to bring a few friends, or if you have a family, or if you're thinking, I would love to get a gift for somebody, I don't know, they're telling me they don't want anything, there's a pandemic, I can't get them flights. You think a voucher for Mondello, an experience, it goes a long way. And sometimes the laughs and pictures, sometimes you end up spending most of the time laughing at them trying to get these things around the circuit. It's well worth the money, as we see another Stewart's investigating cars 27 and car number 82. That's in the GT4 class, I think.
Yeah, João Monteiro, and 27 is Mark Birney. He's actually in the pits now, is Birney. So I imagine he's had to tow back to the pits. He is now he's a lap and a half down on the race leaders in that class. So clearly quite a fatal incident, that one. And he goes to the decently long list of retirees, along with Niall Murray, Tom Ingram, big names, and also Devney, Maguire, McMullen, McKenna, Walsh, and also Max Hart, who never took a start.
Am I right in saying that David Freeman is missing his bonnet?
I believe you might be right.
That is, that's an interesting way of trying to gain some sort of, we know we talk about extreme weight shedding on these cars. I'm not entirely sure if that was intentional from David Freeman. And I was going to say, because we were looking at some of the M8s earlier on, and I saw David in the background, and I had a quick look at his number. Is that David Freeman without his bonnet? It seems to be driving around, so he must have gotten the orange circle, the orange dot. He must still be going as, that's David Yamamoto going off there. That looks like it's at Arnage, am I right in saying? No, it's... Yes, no, it's I'm wrong, actually. It's at Mulsanne Corner.
So big shame for Yamamoto. He was just outside the top 10 previously, or maybe a bit earlier on in the race, but yeah, still in that 11th place at the moment. Also, McCann just having a little bit of a knock further. I'm just highlighting on our timing screen, but no time lost at all for him.
Well, you can see it's gone. The gap was there down to about 11 seconds. It's now, I can't quite see. I'm trying to see my timing screen here. Down to 6 seconds, am I right in saying, between those two? So it just goes to show you, keeping it clean. And you know, there's always opportunities. There are always going to be opportunities if you can keep your concentration. And you know, Sam, I know you're from across the water, and cricket is a firm favourite over there. They always talk about line and length in cricket. And I always think when it comes to racing, it's the exact same thing. It's just about getting that focus and that consistency, and getting into that kind of zone where you feel comfortable, and you're almost relying on muscle memory.
I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about when you're talking cricket terms, so that completely blows over my head. But no, you do need that concentration. You do just get into the rhythm of things. This circuit kind of more than ever. You can't forget that you're even racing with it. Concentration, not necessarily the absolute most important thing, because you've got long straights and it's difficult to keep your intensity up. But certainly not making mistakes and making sure that you control these cars, which will be running very low wing around this circuit. Of course, very tricky to control them through the various corners that we have around this track as we approach the final 15 minutes or so of the race.
Sorry, Sam. Yeah, the final 15 minutes going into it, just to highlight an incident there that was the car number 111 and car 808. Rob O'Neill, I must have put the commentator's curse on him. He's involved in that along with Lawrence Soa. So yeah, we're still waiting because we kept plenty busy, our race stewards, tonight in this one. Plenty of incidents between these. As we were saying yesterday, as Arturas Condelis goes down the inside of Moore, he's going to take that position. Can he hold on to it? Moore has the inside going into the first chicane here. Looks like Condelis is going to hold on to it. Those, you know, they say in to use another sporting analogy, you know, if you turn up with a pair of like luminous boots or gold boots in training, you know, the Irish phrase is like, that's some pair of wheels. I can say Arthur Contelis literally has those pair of wheels. Just 4 wheels are on his car. You can definitely see it. But if we were doing a night race, there'd be no problem seeing his tires anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. You won't be able to sneak up on any of the drivers to go for an overtake, certainly. I mean, for Jordan Kelly at the moment, nearer up to the front, 5 seconds clear at the moment of Josh Menon, so it's looking really good for him, and at the front of the GT4s as well, Denning about 1.5 seconds clear of McGuinness. So those lead battles seemingly a little bit something now. They could both easily switch in the remaining minutes.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly's doing his best Lewis Hamilton impression, isn't he? He goes out in practice, smashes it, goes out in qualifying, smashes it, now has a 5.7 second advantage at the top of the race. Kelly, look, he's such a bright talent, and as you say, he has been racing a long time, obviously, both in real life and in the virtual stuff. He finished second in the Motorsport.ie Start Tomorrow Championship. No second place it looks like for today, but still, as we say, not just over, should I say, 15 minutes left in this one. So still time for Josh Malin to keep pressure on. He was P4 on Monday with 3:45.8, so wasn't hugely off Kelly's time. But as I say, for Kelly, it's just a matter of, I think he's just really in that zone now. He seems to really enjoy this track. Has barely put a foot wrong since we've gotten here in France, and it's absolutely flying along the 20-year-old.
Tony Stack in a big battle. This is also with Hedeman as well. Stack actually just ahead of Hedeman at the moment. Owen Murray as well, just a bit further up. 12 places gained for Murray so far. Alongside down the straight, is Hedeman going to be able to make the speed? Yes, he does. So now 2 places is Hedeman. Actually started pretty much alongside Tony Stack on the grid. But straight away pulls a little bit of a gap. Ooh, as Murray now has the spin. So I don't know if that was a curse or not. But I did say he gained 12 places, so that's going to be a few of them lost straight away right there. Also, Kundelis just holding on to 5th place at the moment. Also, Campfield and Cooper having an epic battle for 7th and 8th. And actually, Cooper just getting ahead of Campfield just now. These two have raced each other in other series in the past. They don't know how to race one another. I believe they've raced each other as well in Digital Motorsports. And Cooper up into 7th place now, past the 49 machine. And Sergei Grabin as well, just watching him in 15th. He's being chased down by Arias Yamantis at the moment. Yamantis with an awful lap on that last lap, coming into the pits. And he's having to recover all these places again, but he's wasting no time about it.
No, not at all. And you saw that battle. I'd say Alex Denning was looking rather nervously in his right rear. He's the leader of the GT4 class. And you know, when you see those M8s bearing down on your inside, and that's such a fast corner, that opening corner going into the Dunlop chicane, it's so difficult to try and position your car anywhere else than the perfect racing line. So good timing racing between all of those drivers involved. Pity for Owen Murray. We saw him strike the wall earlier on going through the Michelin curve, and I wondered did that have an effect there. These M8s, if you get any touch at all, they can be very susceptible, especially with this low downforce, to being unsettled quite easily. So any sort of touch, it's really about keeping it clean. And a really interesting battle here developing between Arias Yomantis and Grabin in front. Another battle. There's just so many battles going on all over the circuit. It's impossible to keep an eye on just one.
Yeah, they sort of spread out a little bit between the 10 and 20 minute mark, but now as we get close to the end of the race, all the issues for other drivers that have to make their way back through. But I think this one is two relatively even drivers, Evan Walsh versus Thomas Sybers, and actually Walsh coming back again after that annoying qualifying. What could have been for Walsh? It would have been fascinating to see him battle with the likes of Meredith and Kundelis and more Cooper, Campfield. But instead he's just been too far back on the grid. Still some decent points being recovered, and from that position, just to finish the race, can be very good. We saw the mess on the opening lap for many of the drivers out there. Campfield, he is battling with Cooper again. Cooper did manage to get past, but he hasn't been able to pull away, hasn't been able to break the draft. And on that last lap, Coleman was nearly second faster than the pair of them. So it's catching them very quick, just getting a waft of the toe as well. The live timing, just the gap coming down to about 7/10 of a second. So this will be a 3-way fight. Further up, Kundal is still holding off more, but I'm sure that will go down to the final lap as well.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to ask Evan Walsh about the explanation for what's on his back bumper as Thomas Sybis now tries to move into Indianapolis, go down the inside. They're side by side. Looks like Walsh is going to hold on to that though. Sybis just had to slightly back out, but he goes wide, Walsh. Will that open the door for Sybis? Now it's really interesting battle here developing between these two. Oh, and Walsh loses the back end, and he's off at Arnage, and he's given the place away. There's nothing worse than battling for that long and then giving the place away, just locked up. And we were just talking about it earlier on, Sam, the M8s and their propensity to lock up under braking. You have to be so sure. And for Evan Walsh, just unfortunately carried that little bit too much speed, and I have done that 1,001 times in that car. You're a little bit over eager on the brake, the rear end snaps, and then you've one or two choices. Either the engine swaps with the tail, or you just try and keep her straight and ride it out into the gravel. And I think for Evan Walsh, that was the better option. Safe rejoin back on the tail of Rory O'Shea, but he was so disappointed with that.
Yeah, we've seen a few drivers make mistakes so far today, haven't we? And I can only assume it's just the fact that they are running probably very little wing. I'm not sure if they use the same setup throughout the season or whether they just change it for each circuit, but those rear wings certainly do look pretty skinny. You can't have so much pace down the straights, and it does leave you very problematic through the corners. Getting a big hold up net here. Alex Denning just holding up the other drivers slightly, because he is race leader in the GT4 class. And so he's no slouch, and you can just see that little bit of a gap he's got. The next GT4 behind him is the second place driver in that class. And so he's just doing enough at the moment to keep that gap. Michael McGuinness, who did start on pole position for the GT4s, hasn't quite been able to pass him at the moment. Of course, this race, so important for these drivers, is worth double points, I believe, at least in the championship. That's what I would assume, because the rest of the season we're going to have a couple of races per night, as per the normal Digital Motorsports rules. And so there are plenty of points available for these drivers as McGuinness almost makes a bit of contact, and that's going to be off the second. That might be a slowdown as well.
Yeah, that could be so important. And we talk, yeah, it is a slowdown. You can see him putting on the brakes, trying to get back on the speed again. It's just so difficult. Like I was talking about, we were talking about Alex Denning holding up some of those M8s earlier. You can be sure Alex did not care one jot about the M8s that were behind him, because you know, it's all about, you got to race your own race. If you spend your too long looking in the mirrors, then you know, you end up kind of preempting something, and you get off your line and you get out of you lose concentration. And that looks like what happened there with McGuinness, that he just saw the M8 come around in his mirror and gave him a bit too much space, lost his own line, then ran wide and kept rouge. It's so easy to do, and as we know, if you can't get back on those curbs, you're seeing a slowdown. I suppose the only thing is, this far into the race, his delta will be pretty settled, so anytime he would have lost, he shouldn't be losing any more down the straight. That's an interesting move going down the inside. That was number 8, Chris McCann, trying that one. Not a brilliant one though. There you go for carried away. I think that's Rob O'Neill there. He's a fantastic looking car, but not a fantastic looking graphic for him, the Corkonian. Former College Corinthians, decent soccer player in fairness to Rob, but it'll have an extra 5 seconds added to his time at the end of the race. There he is now going down the Nelson straight.
Yes, I think the drivers get PM'd anything like that, so he will know that he'll have that penalty to serve at the end of the race, and so we'll need to get a move on it at the moment in order to build a gap right behind him. It's Rob O'Neill who's got Lawrence de Soswa just behind, long-time runner in the championship as well. Plenty of new drivers, of course, for Digital Motorsports this season. And, yeah, after many different seasons, of course, changed the cars each season as well. We have raced in the GT4s before, just a few months back, I believe. I think it was probably April, May, maybe June time that we were racing in the GT4 cars, and then of course we switched to the Indy Pro 2000 as Alex Reed has a off, and that will be easy for Damien McMullen to quickly gain that place. He was 2 seconds faster anyway, but first time for the GTEs, at least when we've been broadcasting on Apex Racing TV. And, yeah, the drivers keep on coming back.
Yeah, Alex getting that all kinds of wrong. Nice to see a little message to the frontline staff there on his bumper. You can see in the tricolour. Difficult to see with the black text, but it does say thank you, our frontline heroes, all of them in the HSE, of course, and in the Gardaí Síochána, and all these people that come out and look after us every day. But yeah, just got that all kinds of wrong. I'm wondering, was he almost, it looks like he was distracted by something else. Was he fiddling with the black box? Was he trying to change fuel settings? I'm not sure. He just completely missed his braking point, and lost a place there. He'll be a bit annoyed about that as we follow Harry McGovern. He's 4th position at the moment, but plenty of opposition. He has Evan Griffin behind him, who was P8 on Monday with a 420. And behind him again then is McCann. So a nice little battle developing here, as we're saying, more and more battles as an M8 comes up behind him now, and this is not what you want to see in the mirror if you're Evan Griffin. You're desperately trying to gain a place in front of you, but you have this M8 swarming all over you as he goes around. He's going to make a move around the outside. I can't see who that is. It's Robert Barrable actually around the behind Griffin. He's going to go for it around the outside. That's it, and he goes. That's a clean pass there from Robert Barrable, in fairness to him. But that did suit Griffin, as a matter of fact, and he's after making that pass. So it just goes to show you traffic. McGovern gets out of the way of Barrable, slightly compromises his exit, and now that battle continuing. And a touch there between Griffin and McGovern. Looks like Griffin came off the worst there, so really interesting. It just goes to show you how quickly things can ebb and flow here on this circuit with the traffic.
Yeah, and we were saying at the start that it won't be too much of an issue, and yet the fact that we haven't seen a lot of it, we will see it potentially more later on in the season. But as this race has progressed since the half-an-hour mark, we have seen plenty of changes due to that traffic. McCann ahead of Giffen, now the 8, ahead of the 36. And that will be, McCann trying to hold on to that one to the end of the race. David Freeman just having a bit of an off. He's quite a bit further behind these guys, but just near the back of the order. Ooh, that might not be getting to the pits. He still seems to be putting his foot down. He's struggling for straight line speed.
Has David not had no bonnet for most of the race? I mean, fair play to him. It's one way of cooling down your engine, but I presume you would have pitted at some stage, because that must be fairly major damage going down the straights, as he tries to get out of the way of a couple of faster classes there going down into Indianapolis. Ooh, that's an interesting move down the inside from Walsh. Oh, we just see there now, car number 45. That was an incident that happened way back in lap 1. 45, that is Thomas Saris. We were watching. 5 seconds added for him. Just trying to see where he is in the timing. He has Robert Barbel ahead of him by 4.5 seconds. He is, however, I think, last in class. So the extra 5 seconds shouldn't make a massive difference to him.
Yeah, everyone else in that class has been multiple laps down, so 5 seconds won't be too much of an issue. I wonder if that was something to do with the Indianapolis incident. Of course, that would have taken a while to go through, for the stewards did seem quite convoluted. Meanwhile, James Holman holding off Jason Cooper and Adrian Campfield. So I believe this is Cooper and Campfield catching up to Holman, or apologies, Holman passing the pair of them in the last few laps. And actually on that lap, Holman managed to get ahead of Cooper, so up into 7th place. But that was with the draft, and now he's not got the draft. Just needs to stay within about 7/10 of a second. Probably more than that. Probably 8/10 of a second, and you will pretty much be on the tail of the driver ahead by the time you get onto the brakes into the first Mulsanne chicane. And Cooper and Campfield, 2 experienced drivers, they'll know not to battle one another, and they'll know that they need to instead focus their attention on the 104 just ahead of them. It's at 6/10 of a second, so certainly Cooper will have an opportunity down one of these Mulsanne straights to get back at his rival, but Campfield is wasting no time and going straight up the inside. Question is now, who's going to get the draft?
Absolutely, and Campfield was the only one, the 31-year-old from Godalming in Surrey. He was the only one that dipped into the 346s among that trio. If you saw those last laps that flashed up about 20 seconds ago. So he is the quickest of the 3 at the moment. Obviously the toe probably has an effect on that, but with just under 2 minutes to go, will he do enough? It is desperation stations here. You saw him try that move, and that's like kink down the first Mulsanne straight. Now he's going down the second one, and we'll be heading into the final lap soon. So will it be a case of Campfield making a desperate lunge here? It's now or nothing, but as you must remember, of course, the live stewards here will be here on hand, as we've seen them already dishing out the pain to some of the drivers who haven't respected the rules. And you've got to think about the overall classification. Of course, double points for this race. We are always positive, given the fact that it's a single endurance 45-minute and not a sprint race. But nonetheless, you lose out points in here to somebody else. The disappointment is doubled as well. So it's about a question of risk management, particularly on the opening round of this 9-round championship.
Certainly, going to be the case as 27 and 82. No further action. Not quite sure. I think that was in the GT4 class that incident occurred. Holman versus Cooper then. Are we going to see a move on the brakes, or are we going to have to wait till the last lap? So it's going to be the latter, the turn 3 car, just about staying ahead of Holman. So Cooper's got to be careful.
Yeah, a little bit wide there, Cooper. Oh, was there a touch there, or was it himself? I'm not sure.
I mean, that just seemed like it was a misjudgment from Cooper going down the inside, just locking up the rear brakes.
I'm just hearing on the radio, Josh Malin apologising profusely. I'm not sure what that's in relation to. He said I might have hit somebody from behind. I'm not sure whether it's a GT4 car he's after touching. but he's apologizing profusely on the radio, I'm overhearing. Certainly not Jason Kelly, anyway.
And that is the checkered flag then for the top two. So I thought we were going to have an extra lap, thought we had enough time. But instead, it's Jordan Kelly takes the first race win of the season. Josh Malin in second place. And so a great effort for those two. Cooper does lose out big time from that late mistake. Who is going to be top out of Cybus. And O'Shea just in front of him. Cybus might have an opportunity here. We don't see many moves into the final couple of chicanes around Le Mans. But we might see an exception to that rule here. Down the inside he goes. He's left the door wide open as the green and blue car, as it's gone down between the two of them. O'Shea has to cut the grass, and Cybus round as well, and benefiting from it all. Rory O'Shea on hand to wave them on by, and he will be delighted with that one to be able to finish ahead. Apologies, I think that was Yamamoto. He managed to get ahead of the pair of them. Where is our GT4 lead? In fact, they've still got a while to go, so he should be able to concentrate on the GTs. Yamantis finishing in 15th and Grappen in 16th.
Yeah, that's so difficult to see contact at the end. You really don't like to see as we're following Alex Denning now. He's coming through Indianapolis, just a few more corners to go. And really, if you can get through Indianapolis hard on the brakes there and roll yourself through Arnage, you can almost see the finish line in sight. Very difficult for Cybus there. I'll be interested to see where the stewards look at that. And I'm also interested to see where the stewards go back and look at the Cooper Canfield McCann incident, because I wasn't sure whether Cooper had gotten the touch there that spun him around, or whether it was himself that locked up. There is an interesting battles, as we say, developing down the GT4 class. That's Chris McCann in fourth. He has McGovern behind him, and Griffin, who we saw lose out earlier in amongst all that traffic. That's been developing as over the course of the last lap, and indeed this lap, ebbing and flowing as they go down now into Arnage. We see, McGovern, that's a touch in the back. Oh, that's a full 100% Punterino there, it looks like.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious.
Yeah, and McGovern flashed the lights as well. I was going to laughing about how McGovern, you can see he's getting impatient to flash the lights and then clean him straight out. Nothing on the radio. McGovern carries on. I don't think McCann will be particularly happy about that. And another one for the stewards to look at. So definitely in the GT4 provisional standings, but there's no doubt about this man, Alex Denning, has been absolutely superb today. He's in flying form, Denning, in real life, and in flying form virtually as well. Whether it's a Ford Fiesta or indeed a BMW M4, Alex Denning will drive it to victory.
Yeah, that was such a good race from him. Wasn't a great qualifying session for him, as McGovern going wide and Griffin might be able to get up into fourth place. This would be a miracle. Remember, we think McGovern will have a post-race penalty after the race, but Griffin's going to get it done regardless on circuit as McCann tries to close back up that gap. The 36 with a late move, and he will take home that fourth place. A fantastic run up there for Evan Griffin to make up a couple of positions, and we've just got a couple of more drivers to come through. Just a solid result for him in 7th, O'Neill in 8th. Rita McMahon should be across the line as well, 56 and number 8 under investigation.
Yeah, I think that is the incident we were talking about, the McCann incident, and I think we've
McGovern, yep.
Yeah, we know who the aggressor is, and we know who the who the potential injured party is. Rob O'Neill had a 5-second penalty, but Albert Reid is still yet to finish, so that won't be an issue for him. And also, I'm trying to see who else picked up a penalty over the course of the race. But Sam, a brilliant opening round. Looked thrills and spills as we expected among the two classes. We'll give you a quick reminder of how you yourselves can get yourselves into these fine machines if you're living in Ireland and fancy a trip down to the fantastic track that is Mondello Park. But Sam, brilliant racing amongst these competitors. Not necessarily 100% always as clean as we would have liked, but certainly made for a fantastic spectacle.
Yeah, and it just sets in store a brilliant championship to come up. So we'll quickly just go through your race results, and then we will go through some interviews as well with the judges. We'll maybe just do the top 10 drivers in the results. Jordan Kelly winning out, Josh Malin finishing in that second position in the end. Keith Dempsey in third, Nicky Meredith in fourth, Arturus Kundelis in fifth. That's Robert Moore, James Holman, Adrian Campfield, Jason Cooper, and Peter McCann in the GT4 standings, in the Pro-Am standings. Alex Denning winning out ahead of Michael McGuinness, Kevin Shine, Evan Griffin, Harry McGovern, Christopher McCann, Lawrence de Soswa, Robbie Neal, Albert Reed, and Damien McMullen. So congratulations to those guys in the top positions in their respective classes, and we should be able to have a chat with our race winners. Kevin, would you like to have a chat with Jordan Kelly, or would you like to have a chat with someone else later on?
Well, I am more than happy to have Jordan on the line if he's happy to join us. Jordan, look, welcome to Apex Racing TV. Welcome to this broadcast of the Irish Digital Motorsport Championship. I was just saying it was a pretty good Lewis Hamilton impression this weekend, wasn't it? You were first in practice on Monday, then storm qualifying. Was there ever a sense? Do you ever find it kind of difficult, or was Le Mans just a track that really suited you down to a T?
Well, I'm more a single-seater kind of guy because that's what I race in real life and stuff. But once I jumped into the car, I was it took a while to get used to it. But once I got used to it, it just gelled and the times just started coming down. And eventually, you got to a point where you could just do consistent laps, and it's mainly what you want. But once I seen Josh coming on, he's right on my tail, so I knew I had to knuckle down and.
Yeah. Are you there, Jordan?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I just missed the end of what you said there, but yeah, it's look, as you say, the switch over from the single seater into the GT stuff. Were you surprised, kind of, when you looked at the timing sheet on the Monday to see that you were kind of battling with guys who are more used to GT stuff, or was it a reasonably kind of smooth transition for you moving into a slightly different car?
It took a while, but it's just getting used to the different braking. You can brake harder in the single seaters and stuff, and if you switch about them, it's hard to get used to them. But once you keep driving away at them and getting the practice in, it gets easy enough.
And so, are your ambitions slightly changed after this first race? Are we thinking more now of titles as opposed to just getting yourself involved?
I'd mainly just want to get a top 3 in the championship, really. But I'll be away from work or away working a lot down the country and stuff. So you might miss a few rounds. So that's kind of my problem. But it was good to get the championship off to a good start, anyways.
I think we'll need to get yourself a gaming laptop. Jordan, thanks a million for joining us. Congratulations on the win, as we say. So consistent. My jealousy of you is amazing. But I think we have Josh Malin standing by as well to talk to Sam. Should be a very interesting interview, given Josh was full of apologies come the end of the race. So it'll be interesting to see what that was all about.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, Jordan Kelly, your race winner, but pushing him all the way was Josh Malin in second place in the GTE class. Congratulations, Josh. Talk us through that little apologies you had on the final lap.
Yeah, so first off, I'd like to apologise to Michael for the contact, because I just thought he was bearing left and instead he jinked right at the very last minute, so I sort of had nowhere to go, but it is what it is, and from what I've heard, he sounds okay with it. So yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely. Jordan was very quick today. At what point did he start to get away from you? Because in the first few laps, it looked really tight. You were in the tow, but was there a moment where he managed to kind of break that draft, or was it just a gradual thing?
Well, I know I got a slowdown within the first few laps coming out just under the Dunlop Bridge, and then I think I got caught up. It's behind a load of GT4s going through one of the chicanes, so that kind of screwed me over for the next straight, and he managed to build a gap and just went from there. Basically, I did get quite unlucky with the with all the traffic and the yielding. But hey, that was just drive error at the end of the day. But yeah, well done to Jordan. That was a superb drive.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is your first season in Digital Motorsports. How did you get involved in the championship?
So yeah, I've done one event with Digital Motorsports before. That was the Escort Challenge, which was amazing fun. That was over on Assetto Corsa. But I actually got talking to Rob from Digital Motorsports Auto Sports earlier this year, and it's just sort of spiraled from there. I've got their sticker on my Ginetta GT5 car, and yeah, it's pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Well, before you say goodbye, Josh, is there anyone you'd like to give shout out to?
I know, just shout out to my to Digital Motorsports for hosting a fantastic championship already. I mean, like the driver briefings, driving standards are fantastic, and it's something that I'm sort of quite pleased to be a part of, purely because it's such a well-run championship.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Josh, and best of luck for 2 weeks' time.
No worries. Cheers. Thank you.
So next up, we should be able to have a chat with our GT4 race winner, and that is Alex Denning, and he is standing by with Kevin.
Alex, congratulations. Look, that GT4 is never easy because you're contending with those M8s behind you. I think you've just slightly left. I think Alex has left us. He's gone to pop the bud lead. I'm sure he'll be back in a second, Sam. But look, before Alex comes back in, what a fantastic performance from him.
Yeah, it really was. It was just managed to open up that gap. He was pushed so hard by Michael in those early stages. I thought Michael may have had more pace. To be honest, of course, started on pole position, but it was some driving from Alex to be able to pull it away. As I think he's come back now. Let's try this again.
Alex, no, he's gone again. The wonders of doing interviews. You know, it's funny, Sam, because look, as we wait for Alex to come back in, people might know that I work with a radio station here in Ireland, and the kind of readjusting to kind of socially distant interviews. It just goes to show you that you know, these things never are easy. I think we're actually going to get Michael McGuinness in ahead of Alex in the chat. Michael, thanks a million for joining us here on Apex Racing TV. You look like there was a really interesting battle developing between yourself and Alex. And then through Tete Rouge, you seemed to go wide. Was it just the M8 that was in your mirror, forced you wide, and then you had that slowdown, and it seemed that was kind of the opportunity gone?
Yeah, the M8 got me inside, and just with the tire degradation, it washed me wide, and there's not much it could do. I thought I had the strategy there to work, but just Alex managed his tires better.
You had that incident as well, of course, at the end with Josh Malin, an unfortunate one. Thankfully, didn't affect your position in the end. He was full of apologies anyway, so I presume there's no hard feelings between you two.
Absolutely not. No, I didn't realise we had an incident. I thought maybe he had just got down the inside of me, and I didn't feel a touch.
Michael, it's unusual to see Dublin and Leitrim battling each other, in fairness, but you did the county proud. Is there anybody else you want to give a shout out to before we finish up?
Yeah, just vehicle screens and my son and stepson now and Gaten. Thanks very much for watching.
Brilliant, Michael. A great race, extremely consistent throughout, and look, a great result to go forward into the rest of the season. I think now we have Alex standing by with Sam, our GT4 race winner.
Yes, let's try this one again. Alex Denning, are you with us? Oh, no.
Hello?
Well, oh, no, yes. Alex, you there?
Yeah, I'm there, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well done on your race win tonight. Take us through quali, because you qualified down in 5th position, I believe. Yeah. I mean, what changed between qualifying and the race?
Yeah, so in practice I had really good pace, so I just didn't really string a lap together. And then in qualifying, my only objective was just to get a lap in, because it's such a long lap. It's over 4 minutes long. You know, there's so many chances to get an off track. So I just said I'll set a banker, and yeah, it worked well. I said better off being fifth than nowhere, trying to get a quicker time. So I knew it was going to be a long race, so I said I knew I'd have no problem coming through from fifth.
Absolutely, and you wasted no time making your way through. I think by the
No.
end of the first lap, you were second place. I mean,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
So I was fifth, and I was just I was ready to go as soon as the lights went out, and through the chicane I made up 3 spots, and I started chasing after Michael. And once I was in a second with him, I could get his toe, and he made a couple of mistakes toward the end of the second lap, and I just got past him, maintained the second lead from them, which was hard to pull away because he was in my toe. And yeah, I think he just made a couple of mistakes, and I led it from there.
And what were your aims for the rest of the season? I mean, surely you got to be thinking about the championship already.
Yeah, well, today I was just planning on getting hopefully a top 3 or 4, and just being consistent the whole way through the championship. Obviously, I'm delighted to take the win. So for future rounds, I'm just going to plan to be consistent, constantly finishing up in the top 5.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck for that one. Alex, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, for my brother for sitting there for the whole 45 minutes. It was a long race. I never knew you'd get so sweaty sitting in a chair. But yeah, big shout out to my brother and all the guys in Digital-Motorsports for organising a great event. To Mondello Park and Motorsport Ireland too as well for sponsoring it.
Awesome. Yeah, well done on the race win, Alex, and hopefully you can back it up next time out.
Thanks a million, guys. See you next week.
Alex Denning, your GT4 race winner, and Kevin, I think we should be able to have a quick chat as well with series organizer Niall Meyer.
Hi guys. What can I say? That's their best race I think yet. A huge thank you to Apex, to Lee, Samuel I, Kevin, and Sam. But what can I say? A huge thanks to all the drivers who turn up and make this series so entertaining for us, week in, week out. This has been a huge effort on behalf of Digital Motorsports to bring this level of racing and to launch the Irish Digital Motorsports Championship. So it's a privilege, as always, to see this quality of racing and to see this sport just keep growing and growing in terms of professionalism.
And that's the thing, Niall. I mean, look, I was doing a bit of a cheat sheet, going for today's race, just looking at some of the drivers, and I know the word strength is always used in everything, but really, when you look at the list of the drivers that are in this, even just the pro category, it's incredible to think that I suppose this whole pandemic has really kind of blurred those lines between real and virtual driving, and for you guys at Digital Motorsports, with your ability to be able to give people top quality equipment and to be able to install those rigs for them, it's fantastic to see them out on track and battling in the same way that they would in real life.
Yeah, for sure. For once, you won't mind me saying this, but it is great to see, Keith Dempsey being challenged for a championship, and hopefully that he continues to get that quality of racing that we've seen. For us, we're incredibly proud that this is our first race championship that will have a digital license associated. So for someone who hasn't maybe taken a step into the real world racing, and they may not necessarily want to either, they may be happy out racing in the virtual world, but it's certainly a step forward. And you're right, that the level of commitment, time, practice, and effort, the guys, reminds you of the old, the really old days of Fangio, where it was, one driver turns up and they did everything. They spanned the car at the end, they ran it themselves. And it's very similar in the sim racing world. The drivers are building their own sims. They're kind of putting the skins together for their own cars. They're preparing themselves, getting the practice together. So it's a fantastic level playing field, and it's great to see such talent out there. It's great to see the likes of Michael McGuinness join us. Kevin Shine had a great race. James Holman's almost gone fast. It was a pity to see Cooper, with the instance that he had. But it's cool that myself, Rob, and Sean can sit back now and kind of take over that race stewarding role and have an active role in the racing as well, which brings that extra layer of reality to it, really.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, there's two more things I want to ask you about, and it's interesting that you mentioned the stewarding, because I do want to ask you about that. But I suppose, look, the race winner today was Jordan Kelly. He's 20. We had Alex Denning as well involved, who's 21. There's so many really young guys that are coming up through Irish motorsport and are really using the sims and the rigs as a complement to their driving. It just goes to show you how much real racers are now embracing it, and how a championship like this can really prove a very useful tool for a lot of those drivers before they head back into the real world, when hopefully we get back real racing regularly sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure. Like I got a text, a very humbling text late last night from Charlie Eastwood. Is just on the back of winning the actual real event, who took the time out to actually message me and say, really sorry, due to commitments I can't make the race. And it just shows how this community is built up on that. And a huge shout out to the VRA team as well. They've been there from the start with us, and we don't give them an inch over anyone else, believe me, but they're always so supportive for us, and Jordan's a member of that team as well. And it was really a pleasure actually just to watch Jordan out in the Formula V's at the Leinster Trophy. I was up in the tower watching it, and to kind of think, it's cool to see that these guys are racing at Mondello Park, who are the title sponsors of this championship, and then to think they come online and they race and they just race as hard. A huge thanks to our sponsors of Mondello Park for helping us put this level of racing together, and of course for Motorsport Ireland as well, Kevin, for having the foresight, and to actually come on this journey with us and to bring this into, a more official, and we just try and make it as close as possible to a real event. While the cars and the tracks are virtual, the racing is very much real, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it's fantastic to see Mondello getting on board with that. They've been so proactive in terms of, well before this ever began, the kind of facilities that they have. And a reminder to people as well, you can get on the Digital-Motorsports website and get in for one of those Mondello M4 M8 driving.
Enter as many times as you like.
I can.
What a prize! Yeah,
what a prize! I can tell you, I couldn't quite curb Niall's ear to give us a go yet, but I'm definitely going in for one of them come Christmas. Now I suppose finally, look, before we wrap up, about the stewarding, like you're it's a position that you're probably well used to, even though I know that it's kind of nice for you to kind of take that opportunity now. You had plenty on your hands today, especially that incident at the end involving McCann, in fairness. Do you think, is it just a case of the guys getting used to the cars? Because it looked to be some fairly feisty racing going on.
The great thing about this is I was out actually racing with Chris and Michael McGuinness, all these guys during the week. So that's from a stewarding point of view, it's great. You get out, you get a feel for a car. We can't remove the fact that there's a lot of software play as well, and netcodes can often be a factor in it. But having Rob King and Sean McGinley and myself, we're pinging each other here in the background. We've got all the technology set up. It's very easy for us because we can quickly go back and review from all different angles and make a decision. And it just brings an extra layer to the actual event itself. But it's new. I don't know if there's too many other people out there doing this at the moment, but certainly it does add an extra layer to it, doesn't it, Kevin?
Absolutely, and look, I think as we're all extremely proud in our little country to be trying to lead the way, and definitely with this championship, I imagine there's a lot of other people around the place looking at it. Such fantastic, as I was saying to Sam earlier, just the community that's there, and the fact that everyone can kind of keep in touch through all this and race and keep going, and hopefully sooner rather than later we'll all be back at Mondello and kind of doing it for real and going wheel to wheel. Hopefully, up there.
Yeah, a week's time.
Yeah, thanks a million for joining us. Thanks a million for all you guys and all your work for putting this series together. Is there anybody else you want to give a shout out before we leave you go?
Actually, just yourself, Kevin. I think it's your first race with us. We miss Jack so bad at times. He's brings so much energy, enthusiasm. We had Kieran as well. Sam always brings great knowledge and background to the race. But I think for your first maiden, commentary role with us. What a way to launch the IDMC and to have yourself. So a huge thanks to all the drivers, as we say in the community. If they turn up and put in the work and effort, myself, Rob, and Sean, we'll put in the same effort on our side. But no, a tip of the hat to you, sir. Great job, Kevin, and we look forward to hearing more from you soon.
Yeah, really, I have to say, an absolute honour to be able to commentate on a national championship, Niall. Thanks a million for joining us. Thanks a million for all your work. And look, it's been a fantastic race. Sam, I think you'll agree. It's what a brilliant start to this championship. And as we say, look, 9 rounds, €1,000 cash prize fund is there. There's a competition out there for people to win driving experiences. There's the best drivers across Ireland and need some of those in the UK as well. So what's not to love?
Exactly. Great way to finish the stream. Okay.
Sam, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's just looking forward to the next few rounds. I mean, we've got 2 months of this. It's going to be fantastic when we finally finish
know,
off at the Nordschleife, and what rounds that's going to be to finish it all off at. So no, cannot wait for a couple of weeks' time, and yeah, certainly do enter that Digital Motorsports competition because I mean I'll be into it. I'd have to probably get a plane over, frankly, or drive a very long way, but it sounds worth it to have a go around Mondello Park.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fine for me. I'm only an hour and a half up the M9. No bother. Easy out. Yeah, like it's just been such a fantastic experience to broadcast. Thanks to Sam as well for his help. Definitely taking the lead is much more difficult trying to describe things as they go along. Thanks as well to Sam Uli for his brilliant work on the broadcasting side of things. Look, this has been the first round of the BMW M4 MA competition from Irish Digital Motorsport Championship in association, of course, with Mondello Park and indeed Motorsport Ireland. Remember, Digital-Motorsport.com, you can get your entry in there for those M4 and M8 experiences. I'm sure they tied over beyond the pandemic if you're not in Ireland, and if you are in Ireland, then you've absolutely no excuse not to click and get involved. Sam, I think it would be remiss of me, it would be very presumptuous of me as the newcomer to finish the stream off. So I'll let you finish off with the outro, but just a massive thanks to myself, and I have to say I'm already absolutely buzzing for rounds 2 and 3 at Road Atlanta on Wednesday, October 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. Do tune in for that one in a couple of weeks' time on Apex Racing TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. Of course, do subscribe to both channels for more content. So many videos going out, so many live streams going out at all times of the day, whether you're in America or Europe or Australia. And also, if you wouldn't mind, please do check out our social media at Apex Racing TV on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, all of that stuff. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it. But for now, from me, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Kevin Galvin, and from Sam Kumo, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for round 2 and 3 at Road Atlanta. See you then.
It's long.
Are you itching to get racing? Whether it's circuit racing, drifting, rallying, or even karting, here at Digital-Motorsports.com we run some of the best online leagues in the world. To get involved, visit our website at Digital-Motorsports.com and enroll for our next event.